Welcome to FactFrenzyGirl. Get ready to dive into the wild world of mind-blowing facts that will leave you utterly amazed. Today, we're uncovering the top facts that sound too unbelievable to be true. But trust us, they're totally real. Get ready for me to upend your perceptions of the world again today. Because I'm going to break some claims and supposedly obvious things. Were lemons artificially created by man? And is Africa really wider than Russia even though it's not visible on a map? Stay to the end of the video so I can shock you with the answers to these questions. As well as many other facts that sound false, but are not. We wait up to 2 or 3 years for just one pineapple. You must have noticed that pineapples are not the cheapest fruit in the supermarkets. There is a good reason for that. Each of this so delicious fruit takes between 2 and 3 years to ripen. Separately, a single plant bears the first and last fruit that we pluck and eat, and then it dies. This is its life cycle. However, to take revenge, pineapple has enzymes that break down the protein. And if you keep it in your mouth too long, you can damage your mucous membranes. As we chew it, it's literally eating parts of us too. Africa is wider than Russia. We're used to looking at maps where Russia looks downright gigantic. Like you see on your screens, and it's like all of Africa can fit inside it. But let's do an experiment. We measure the widest part of Russia from its border with Belarus to its easternmost point, about 6,800 kilometers by air, the shortest way. We do the same for the whole African continent, and the result shows about 7,400 kilometers. That is nearly 1,000 kilometers difference. If this is not enough for you, then you should know that Africa is 30 million square kilometers, while Russia is 17 million. This distortion, which confuses our ideas, comes from the fact that we convert the spherical shape of the Earth into a convenient rectangle, as most maps are. The further north we go on the globe, the more distorted the territories are. Here is a map that corresponds to the actual dimensions and territories. Sharks appeared earlier on Earth than trees. Sounds pretty crazy, right? It's like logic tells us that plants appeared on Earth first and then animals, but that's not really the case. According to Smithsonian, the earliest trees appeared on Earth about 350 million years ago, while sharks began to cross the world's oceans 50 million years ago earlier. Separately, sharks are one of the few species to have survived the 5 mass extinctions, including the one 250 million years ago when 95% of life on the planet died. Also interesting is that sharks are almost perfectly protected from infections, cancer, and any diseases, which helps them live up to almost 500 years. Third world countries are poor. Everyone thinks that when we say a third world country, it means that it is super poor and people there are barely surviving. For example, Egypt, which is considered as such but is one of the richest countries in the world. But really the term third world came after the Second World War, when the world was divided into 3 geopolitical blocks. The first world is the democratic world led by the US. The second, with the socialist countries and under the influence of Russia as we were. The third world is simply all the other 3/4 of the world that did not actively participate in the war and are not under the influence of the first 2. Switzerland, for example, is a third world country because of its neutrality. As you can see, nothing to do with finance, although these days that is the main thing. If we fold a piece of paper 42 times, we will reach the moon. We all probably know that if we take an ordinary A4 or any other size sheet of paper, we cannot fold it in half more than 7 times. People have even tried with a hydraulic press, but it doesn't work. It's like a law. Hypothetically, however, if we could fold the same piece of paper 42 times, it would become so thick that it would reach the moon, which is 380,000 kilometers away from the Earth, and this statement is absolutely true. There you have the mathematics. Normally a piece of paper is 0.5 millimeters thick. On the 8th fold, if it were possible, the height would already be 6.4 centimeters. and on the 42nd fold it would reach over 500,000 kilometers. This is the exponential growth of paper. Each previous folding is multiplied by 2. Not to mention that if we get to 130 folds, the hypothetical thickness of the paper would be as thick as the observable universe. 93 billion light-years. There is at least one molecule in a glass of water that has passed through a dinosaur. Pretty strange statement, isn't it? As a matter of fact though, it is completely true. The water you just drank or are about to drink contains at least one molecule of H2O that once passed through the body of a dinosaur millions of years ago. The math for this comes from the fact that dinosaurs ruled the earth for about 180 million years. That's an awful long time, and according to the data we have, it was plenty long enough for them to have sipped all the available fresh water on Earth. You know that when we drink water most of it passes through our system and becomes urine. So we can jokingly say that we drink prehistoric dinosaur urine every day. Cheers! The bacteria on our bodies are twice as numerous as our own cells. Years ago it was claimed that there are 10 times more bacteria and microorganisms on our bodies than our own cells. Today, science is narrowing that gap dramatically. But there are still about twice as many, which is also frightening. These days it is estimated that we have about 30 trillion cells, which is a really huge number. According to various studies, at the same time we are home to about 60 trillion bacteria. By the way, in our feces alone there are about 100 billion of them for every gram. And in our navel there is a whole bacterial world, made up of about 2,300 species of microorganisms that live in peace. You can help and breed them by not showering. About 7% of all humans living on Earth are alive today. Since the dawn of humanity on our planet, scientists estimate that about 108 billion people have been born in history to date, about 8 billion of which are alive today. That's about 7% of all humans who have ever passed through the Earth. Although the population in Eastern Europe is declining, in Asia and other parts of the world it is growing at a breakneck pace. So far this year alone the global population has grown by 12 million people. Herbivorous animals are 100% vegetarian. Now, maybe I'll spoil your idea of some cute animals we consider to be fully vegetarian. For example, giraffes. For most of their lives they eat acacia, mimosa leaves, and various trees. But recently they have been spotted snacking on meat as well. And they are very happy to even eat bones. Scientists believe that this sudden change in their diet is nothing new, and that they are doing it to get the phosphorus and calcium they need. This condition is called osteophagia and is seen in many other species. It is safe to say that in nature, especially the animal world, there are no complete vegetarians. Here is a topic of reflection for all vegans and those who only eat salads. Lemons are man-made. Well, that's crazy, isn't it? There's no way we created lemons. We all know they grow on trees. But it turns out that wasn't always the case. The lemon is actually an artificially created breed of citrus that comes from Southeast Asia. DNA analysis revealed that the lemon is a cross between an orange and a citron, an evergreen plant similar to the lime but more bitter. So the ancient Chinese began to grow them selectively and mix the crops. Eventually a combination of the two emerged, which we know today as the lemon. They do not occur naturally in nature. Thank you for joining us on this whirlwind adventure through the world of mind-blowing facts. If you're hungry for more unbelievable truths, be sure to subscribe to FactFrenzyGirl and hit that notification bell, so you never miss out on our next exploration.